100.3 Bay FM. You can follow me if you like, 25 to 12 Bay FM Health with Madonna in this morning. And okay, we haven't actually practiced any hunting, have we?
No, we wasted time, playing songs and having a chat.
But I've heard so much about even hugs are very healthy for you.
Yeah, they really are. It is. There's a caring hormone called oxytocin.
Oh, right.
So oxytocin is the reason mothers don't throw their baby out the window when they've screamed for 6 hours straight overnight. It's the caring hormone.
Right.
So basically it's one of those things, it's a natural thing we release when we're with people that we love, which is quite a cool hormone really. And when we are and it's any time that we spend with them.
Right.
So it's just that time is good. And it's sort of like exercise. The more time you spend with people you love, the more oxytocin you release. So if we're not enjoying ourselves so much, it starts to switch off. But so hugging releases oxytocin, it releases dopamine. It's one of the things they give women going through childbirth to make it easier, and they've been giving a synthetic form, Pertussin, but they've been giving it since the 1960s. So, medically they've known this is a good hormone for like 50 years.
Wow.
And it's pretty nice. One of the things that happens with these days is that sometimes our receptors on the end of the nerves, if they get bound with things, and things like too much sugar and too much insulin can actually damage the end of the receptors, so then we can't release as much oxytocin.
Right.
So there seems to be a connection. I'm talking long term, not if we, I'm not talking from Christmas lunch.
Yeah.
I'm talking, I'm talking like abuse of sugar, long term.
Yeah.
So the insulin can actually damage the receptors that make the oxytocin. So therefore, we're more likely to become depressed or stressed or unable to, that whole thing where people just get into that frame of mind where it's hard for them to be happy.
Yeah.
It's hard for them to relax and spend time and just care and nurture other people.
So a bit more hugging.
Hugging is really good, yeah.
Okay.
And even things like having a massage or having reflexology or having Reiki or doing deep breathing or meditating, all of these release the same sort of hormones. So it's the oxytocin, it's the serotonin, it's the dopamine, these feel-good hormones that, let's face it, we can all do with more of.
Well, of course. Well, I'm going to have to go and find more cuddles.
Maybe this is where the hippies got it right when they're hugging a tree.
Yes. Well, yes.
Yeah, there was actually a study, once again, that they did where they looked at the amount of antioxidants. So oxidation is bad. Antioxidants are good. So oxidation is something that happens in the body when we've got too much free radical stress.
Yeah.
When we are out in nature, so the grass, the trees, the rocks, the ocean, the rainforests, we're actually receiving free antioxidants from the earth and the environment.
Okay.
So one of the things, we were chatting about going for a walk before, well, walking in a rainforest is even better. What a surprise.
Beautiful.
So if you've got and obviously we don't have the choice of going for a rainforest walk every afternoon, do we? But there are lots of bushy places, around, how beautiful is it living out here at the Redlands?
Yeah, well, you mentioned about you just can't feel happy in yourself. You feel down all the time. And I was wondering if this might do. If you write down at least 10 things which you're very grateful in your life, but quite often we can overlook those and think, oh no, it's pretty boring. What are you doing tomorrow? Nothing.
When we're in a negative space, our brain does something funny with memories. It stores new happy memories in the wrong spot in our brain. So you can imagine our brain has like 20,000 thoughts a day. And if we're in a negative space, we can have 90% of those, 95% of those being negative. So what gratitude does is to help to remind you of looking at the happy things and remind you of those good things. So when you start, and it's good to get yourself a journal, like get yourself a gratitude journal. It can be a jolly bit of paper for all I care, but a journal so that every night before bed, you just write down a few things that were fantastic in your day, things you're really grateful for. And it might just be the fact that when you went into the post office, there were only 6 people in line before you instead of 20.
But you can be grateful about that.
Yeah, or the fact that the chick who helped you out, when you were buying a dress in Myers, that she was really pleasant and supportive and, made you feel fantastic when you came out of there.
I haven't tried that one. I'll have to go into Myers.
I'd love to see you in high heels and a dress. So those things that we're grateful for that sometimes just pass us by because we're simply not paying attention to them. And one of the nice things when you start doing like something like this as a daily regime, or as a daily habit,
Yeah.
it means that your brain then starts to look for these things.
Ah,
So initially,
positives.
yeah, exactly. So initially it's like, oh yeah, I'm grateful for my fantastic husband, I'm grateful for my beautiful new grandbaby. But, you know, let's face it, after a week you don't want to be writing those same things.
No.
Because then it's just boring. So your brain actually literally starts looking for the next thing to be grateful for. So it's not just the fact that you've got a great husband, it's the fact that, oh, isn't that sweet? He made me a cup of tea and I didn't even ask. Or it's the fact that he opened the door for me and, oh, gee, he's been doing that for me for 20 years and I haven't, you know, it's so that you start paying attention to those little things. So your brain is literally having to go to another part of the brain. Actually, we will chat a little bit about this because when we're stressed and depressed and anxious, most of the blood supply is in the rear of the brain. So, you know, when you get those headaches and they're at the base of the skull, just above your neck, and it goes down through your neck and into your shoulders. So when we've got those sort of headaches that are linked to stress and anxiety, it means the blood supply is actually in that part of the brain to do with survival.
Right.
So whatever's going on in our life, our brain is thinking it's bigger than it is. Sometimes it is as big as it is, but sometimes it's thinking it's bigger.
Hey, you, big head.
Yeah. Those beers again. Yeah, so it's sort of like... when you start thinking about gratitude, you can't think about something new without opening up your frontal part of the brain.
Yeah.
So therefore, by doing something like a gratitude journal, then you're actually opening up the frontal part of the brain, and that's where you need to go in order to feel happy and relaxed and calm.
Ah, okay.
When you're feeling stressed,
Right.
it's all in the rear of the brain. So doing something like a gratitude journal, it actually starts to create new nerves and new pathways, and by thinking about something we haven't thought about before.
Well, it's just something that, I mean, it can create it, no matter what age you're in.
Yeah.
You can still create these things and work on them.
Yeah, that's right. And I think, and I'm sure there's lots of people I know, you know, who don't have a lot of stress in their life, but they still don't quite feel happy.
Yeah.
You know, their lives are pretty cruisy, but they're not getting any oomph or, you know, they've lost their juju.
Yeah.
So, and I think finding new things, you've got to create new habits. Do you want to be doing what you're doing now every day for the rest of your life?
Right.
And if you are, I'm envious of you if it's a fabulous life. Hey, that's great.
Yeah, that's
but you
right.
know, it really is about going, okay, I'm still here. I'm going to keep living my life to the fullest.
Good.
Yeah, what can I do?
That's the right thing to do. That's the way to do it, for sure. Okay, well listen, let's have a little break. And then we'll come back and we'll talk a few more things, because I think this has all been very beneficial, especially around this period of the holidays and everything else. And get ready for something that's just going to be bigger than Ben-Hur. Well, you can do it. So
Surely can.
We'll come back shortly with something like that. It's 17 to 12 at Bay FM.